The Inazuma Archon quest is one of the most lowly regarded quests in all of Genshin, for many reasons. Whether it be the poor pacing for some, forced plot points, or that torture device that was the anti-Raiden Shogun training, much of the community has dubbed this the worst region in terms of the main story. But I'll be honest, when I first saw it, I didn't really think it was all that bad. Like, I knew it had its issues, but at least it kept me engaged, right? I recently arrived upon a thread discussing the topic, and because I was bored, read through it. And seeing the endless waves of hate for the story, most just reiterating the same few points like a machine, I wanted to get my own perspective on the situation. So, 2 years later, and with much more writing experience under my belt. So I sat down and replayed the Archon quest on an alt account to see if it really was that bad. In short, yeah, it was. Before we get into the video, as always, your quick reminder to like and subscribe. I make a lot of video essays like these with the hopes of improving my own analysis skills, since that's always been an area I lacked in. Any support is always appreciated, as well as critique on my analysis, as long as it's polite. Also, spoilers for the whole Inazuma arc. We start off the story meeting Kazuha, we learn a bit about Inazuma, and it nicely sets up the stakes of the region. We learn a bit about the infamous Raiden Shogun and her tyrannical rule over the islands, and gain a reason to care through Kazuha's story of his friend. After a mini-tournament arc, Beidou agrees to take us to Inazuma, where we see the first problem. We just kinda get there, which sure, Beidou's skilled, so I suppose that could be excused. But I was hoping for a cutscene or something where she's shown to be manning the ship like the badass she is. Inazuma is built up as the land engulfed in storm, this perilous place none should go if they're faint of heart. But from our perspective, it's just smooth sailing until Paimon comments about how it was a rough journey. Which leads us into the first of a few big problems in this quest. They love to tell, not show. I'll come back to this later. I brushed this off because it's just one thing and proceeded into the quest. We meet Toma and get to the checkpoint where we get our papers checked. We make our way into Rito and get, in my opinion, a pretty good setup sequence. By going through somehow worse than normal customs, we get an understanding of the government's corruption and blatant racism against Outlanders. While the framing of the government can feel a bit forced at times, it's overlooked by a very interesting premise and very strong start. My favorite part of this sequence is when Toma asks if the traveler can help them with their rebellion against the Shogun, and we just say no. It makes sense with their character. We're here for our sibling, not for stopping something that, quite frankly, has nothing to do with us. And Toma agrees. And then we agree to meet at Kamori Teahouse, which is great. I hope they don't ruin that. After escaping Rito with the help of Hiragi Chisato, the Kanju commissioner's daughter, we make our way to Kamori Teahouse to meet with Toma. He takes us to the statue of the omnipresent god, the place where all the stolen visions are put on display as a show of power. But the purpose of this visit isn't told directly. This is a clear play at trying to manipulate the traveler into joining the Kamisato clan. What else are we doing here? Toma takes us here, talks about the people who got their ambitions stripped from them in a somber tone for a bit, then takes us away. If we'd agreed with their plan, this would make more sense, but it feels like he's just forcing himself on us here. We then go to the Kamisato estate, where Ayaka asks us a similar question, and we again say no. She still agrees to help us with meeting the Shogun, but we have to help 3 NPCs who've had their visions stolen first. This is interesting in theory. It's similar to the evidence gathering we did in Liney's trial. Problem is, this is an entire hour of the quest. There was literally no need for them to go on this long with info about random NPCs. The only plot point to get out of this part is how tyrannical the Shogun's rule is, which, thanks to Rito, we already knew. It's just redundant. After meeting these 3 NPCs, though, our judgment is swayed and we agree to join Ayaka. And even that makes no sense. We came here with the express goal of meeting the Shogun. While I can't blame Toma and Ayaka for trying to convince him and the traveler going along with it so they have a chance at meeting the Shogun, I can be annoyed at the traveler disregarding basic logic here. Toma and Ayaka aren't asking us to help them with some mundane activity. No, we're going against the very person we want to ask for help. Did Hoyo not see how ridiculous that sounds? Why would we antagonize the third step in our only goal to sibling again? We go with Ayaka to discuss the plan, where we find out she doesn't even have one. Like, really? You wanted us so bad and can't even find a reason for us to be there? Anyway, she sends us to help this guy named Masakatsu, who was captured by the Tenryou Commission, along with a girl named Yoimiya. Masakatsu was responsible for making the fake visions to help those with real visions hide their visions from the Vision Hunt decree. We go to the police station to break him out, but find him being tortured. Turns out being tortured is against Tenryou Commission policy, so Kujusara steps in and stops them. After Yoimiya distracts the guards, we try to get Masakatsu, but Sara stayed behind and steps out. This part presents an interesting moral dilemma on the part of Sara, where she allows us to leave with Masakatsu so he can get medical attention. It's a bit strange that she can't get him medical attention herself, but I'll ignore this instance since it hints at some depth on Sarah's part. We return to tell Ayaka the good news, and here is where I have some issues. Ayaka and Toma explain that the Tenryou Commission have been preparing for a celebration and their guards are going to be lowered for a few days. Okay, sounds like a great opportunity to launch an investigation or do some down-low work against the commission. Nope. Instead, we take this as an opportunity to lie low. This wouldn't be as big of a problem if the urgency of the situation wasn't stressed to the degree it was. This is the similar time we go off on our Ayaka and Yoimiya side adventures, something that most players I talked to unanimously agreed slowed the whole quest down. So now we get to the second main act of the quest, and the one I believe is the hands-down worse. We arrive at Kamori Teahouse to continue discussing our lack of a plan to find no one there. Ayaka arrives momentarily and says Toma has been taken to the Statue of Omnipresence to have his vision stolen. We go to confront the Shogun and snatch Toima's vision before she can take it. Seeing us use elemental energy without a vision, and therefore as a threat, she takes us into her plane to fight. We lose, and she is about to kill us when Toma grabs us and we run away. Afterward, we discuss where Traveler is going next. We head toward the Resistance and overhear some guards talking about how we are now high-priority targets, as well as the Resistance and guards fighting it out on Nazuchi Beach. We continue making our way there and run into Teppei, this son of a bitch. We save his hapless ass from some samurai and he takes us to Fort Fujito. We learn that Kokomi is away on business and Goro is currently acting on her old orders. This business is never explained, and it's something this quest does a lot, forcing in plot points for convenience. Anyway, we make our way to the battle on Nazuchi Beach. Kokomi suddenly shows up out of nowhere and we start winning, before going back to Watatsumi. We learn about a mysterious weapons benefactor providing them with weapons which turns out to be the Fatui. These weapons are delusions, and soldiers that use them begin to age rapidly. Teppei, the guy we saved before, dies due to using one. Anyway, we make our way to the delusion factory for revenge, I guess? There we meet Scaramouche, and he says that this war creates a big market for delusions. After Scaramouche's "I'm so evil" rant, Yaemiko saves us and takes us back to the shrine. She tells us that the Shogun we see is a puppet, and the real Ai was the one within the plane of Euthymia we saw. Miko wants us to defeat Ai in combat and attempt to shake her will. We then proceed to the single worst part of the entire quest, hands down, no competition, the anti-Raiden Shogun training. I can't talk about it without flashbacks, but even people who love the quest hated this bit, at least when I talked to them. After we're deemed sufficiently ready, Miko gets Sara to come and tells her that the Tenryou Commission is colluding with the Fatui and hiding it from the Shogun. Sara initially doesn't believe us, so Miko has Sayu steal documents from the Tenryou Commission. Upon seeing the documents penned in the clan leader's own hand telling the Shogun that no one is resisting, Sara angrily storms the Tenryou Commission to declare answers. The leader admits to everything, and she goes to tell the Shogun. We follow her and find Signora having beaten Sara. For some reason, we challenge Signora to a duel before the throne and win, and as we escape, the resistance comes out of pretty much nowhere, and we are attacked by Raiden. Kazuha awakens the masterless vision and parries her before we face her once again. While there, we tell her about the Tenryu Commission tricking her, and what does she say? Basically, "Oh, I already knew, and also don't care." This also contradicts her later statements about wanting to protect Inazuma. Yet many more Inazumans are dying because of the war and the delusions than chasing their ambitions. Fast forward a bit and we are losing, but Miko comes in and uses the power of teamwork to make us strong? It's pretty unclear. But yeah, we beat Ai, she vents a bit, and then magically changes her mind for no real reason and abolishes the Vision Hunt decree. So that's the story of Inazuma, a disaster. If you felt a little overwhelmed with information near the end there, yeah, so did I. One of the problems talked about most in regard to Inazuma is its terrible pacing. It goes from a pretty slow to averaged paced start to just action beat after action beat and can get exhausting to follow coherently. I left a lot of analysis out there just to make it easier to digest. So now the analysis bit, what besides the terrible pacing makes it so bad? I'll go between the plot beats and discuss what was wrong with them in chronological order. First, our escape from the Shogun. We lose, and she is about to kill us when Toma grabs us and we limp away. This makes literally no sense. We just saw her walk on air, and it's canon she can move faster than lightning. And she tried to kill us 10 seconds ago. Why is she just letting us go? Almost worst, afterward, we stand out in the open and discuss where Traveler is going next. Just here? Not even inside the Teahouse? Next might be considered a bit of a nitpick, but all the random dialogue. I left this out because of how irrelevant it is. But after arriving at the Resistance quarters, Teppei gives us a tour of Fort Fujitu. This section takes 30 minutes. Similarly, later on, we spent another 30 minutes just fighting off Ronin with Swordfish 2, something that ultimately becomes of no consequence. I think the tour of Fort Fujitu had a lot of potential. Same with the whole Captain of Swordfish 2 bit. It could be a great opportunity to show the brutality of the war. Maybe we could meet the injured soldiers and see their morale, unable to be raised even by our encouragement. We are constantly told by NPCs and the like how brutal the fighting is, but when we actually arrive on the battlefield, there's nothing going on. Like, look at this. There are maybe 16 soldiers here at most, and this is the battle the guy had to flee his life from? I'll admit, it looks way better in the cutscene, but would it be that hard to place NPCs that occasionally jab spears around the beach? They're around normal areas too. Why not here? Just reuse the animation. But I'm getting off topic. Anyway, during these, we just see soldiers joking about and being happy, something that has pretty much opposite reflections on their supposed low morale. Okay, moving on. Let's talk about Teppei. His death, in my opinion, is one of the worst parts of the quest. The problem here is that we the player don't care about Teppei. We save him, he follows us for a bit, doesn't even fight with us, and then dies. Hoyo uses the Traveler's furious reaction to manipulate the player. We associate ourselves with the Traveler and go, oh, so this is how I should feel, and not think critically about what we actually do feel. Realistically, we know nothing about Teppei. He didn't even get a backstory. Did he have a vision? Did he live on Watatsumi? Why is he so vehemently opposed to the Vision Hunt decree? Answering any of those questions could help us develop a genuine reason to care about him, but we just don't get that. And then the Delusion Factory. Oh boy. While there, Scaramouche brags about the new big market for delusions. But there's a few problems with this statement. First, the Fatui are referred to as a benefactor. Benefactors are people who give, not sell. They are making no money here. Also, if they wanted a market, why not sell to both sides? Additionally, why give out the ones that kill people? They have ones that don't affect the body. We see the common Fatui agents all using them. Once people start dying from the delusions, no one will use them, as we see via Kokomi's ban the instant the delusions risks are found. So those are the big plot flaws. There's a lot more, but I don't want this video to stretch years, so I'll summarize the general flaws. After replaying Inazuma, there are a few major flaws that most of the problems can fit into, according to my own observations and discussions with the community. Here they are. Problem 1. It was too short, which forced it to be fast-paced. Due to this, there wasn't enough time to flesh everything out. Problem 2. Lot of tell not show. It really didn't feel like war. During the urgent crisis we were told about, we were pausing for Hot Pot to watch a fireworks show, to watch this. We didn't see any of the battles besides a one-off cutscene, and none of their repercussions, only told how bad things are going. Also, this a bit of a personal story. I got bored halfway through and went back to the city midway where guards were patrolling. I didn't even notice them the first few times I was there. Maybe I'm stupid or something, though. Anyway, point is, there should have been more in the moment stuff and genuine, real things. Problem 3. The quest spends excessive time on side missions involving NPCs who have had their visions stolen, which feels redundant given that the oppression of the Shogun's vision hunt decree is already well established. This prolonged focus detracts from the main narrative's urgency and pacing. Problem 4. The resolution of the quest, where the Raiden Shogun suddenly changes her stance on the vision hunt decree, feels abrupt and lacks sufficient build-up or justification. This rushed conclusion undermines the narrative's potential for a satisfying and well-rounded resolution. Okay, that's pretty much it. This essay took a while, since I rewatched all of Inazuma's Archon quest and spent quite a bit of time on community research, but I think the end result was largely pretty good. Please like and subscribe, and comment if there are any problems I missed. Also, I want to thank everyone for getting me to 100 subs. I gained so much support in such a short amount of time recently, and it's been really morale boosting. Anyway, thank you, and have a good morning, afternoon, evening, or night, wherever you are, and hope to see you in the next one.